Hello, everyone, and welcome to our speakers and guests. We are gathered today at the President Hotel Art Center in Jerusalem. Some of our speakers and guests are here with us in person, while others are joining us online via Zoom. My name is Galina Bleikh, and I am the host of Leonardo Issas Laser Talks Jerusalem. Our meetings are organized by INEMEA Association for Art, Culture, and Education. Today, we are holding our 8th laser talk in Jerusalem, and we have titled this meeting Olfactory Art Beyond the Digital. The INEMEA Association, in collaboration with CYLAND, presents a discussion about olfactory art as a unique meeting point between science and creativity. Smell can reshape perception, memory, emotions, and the boundaries of contemporary art. We live in a world where almost everything can be digitized, except smell. Unlike images or sound, sense cannot be sent through a screen or stored as a digital files. At the same time, smell is one of the oldest and most essential languages of life. It shapes communications, memory, emotion, and behavior across many species. During the laser talk, we will explore how artists and scientists are rediscovering smell as a powerful medium. Their work challenges our understanding of perception and expands the very definition of art. We have invited Yehuda Roth to speak about his scientific research and its connection to art. Lilia Chak, the coordinator of our events, will present her research into sense, cultural memory, and the reconstruction of lost fragrances. Today, our long-standing moderator, Daria Kesler, will join us in a different role. For the first time in our laser talk series, we will have the opportunity to learn more about her own artistic practice. Together, these presentations will also introduce some of the research and artistic work being developed within the INEMEA Art and Science Lab. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy the discussion. And now, a few words about Daria Kesler. Daria is a cross-disciplinary researcher and artist. She works with human and machine-generated text, sound, documentary formats, sense, and video art. She is interested in using modern technologies and science to foster empathy toward all species and to explore new ways of co-living between technology, humans, plants, and animals. Daria holds a master's degree in art and science from Innovice ITMO University, which a focus on hybrid, technological, and bio art. And now I'd like to pass the floor to Daria, who will introduce our today's speakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Galina. It's a pleasure, like always, to be here today with you. And we have brilliant speakers. I'm so thrilled to hear more about their project and also to share a bit about mine. And the first person who I would like to ask to share his practice with us is Professor Yehuda Roth. Yehuda is a visual artist, otorhinolaryngology surgeon, former chairman of a large hospital department, professor at Tel Aviv University Faculty of Medicine. Among specialized research areas, investigate nasal breathing, defense system, and olfaction. He explores the connection between science and arts. Scientific curator, the thinking ahead form of science and artists, has presented diverse paintings, sculptures, and installations in many exhibitions in Israel and abroad. He participated and organized a large olfactory art exhibition in 2021, co-facilitated a multidisciplinary science research forum at the School of Cultural Studies at Tel Aviv University, and he lectures in museums and art schools. Also, Yehuda co-created Beyond the Skin and the Beyond the Skin Art and Science project in the Venice Art Academy at the 2024 Biennale. So I'm so sorry for my difficulties with pronunciation, but still, Yehuda, please, you're so welcome.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Daria. How are you?
Thanks. I'm thrilled to listen about your project.
Okay, so firstly, I'd like to tell you a bit about some anatomical and physiological aspects of the sense of smell. You know that the brain has several cranial nerves. Those are big, important nerves that are connecting the brain to several body functions. And the first one in the list is the olfactory nerve, which lies at the base of the anterior skull, at the ceiling of the nose. And what's unique about the olfactory nerve is that its branches are protruding through the various barriers enveloping the brain and come out to the air of the upper nose. So this is the only occurrence or the only place where our brain, which is heavily protected, is actually exposed to the environment and is able to communicate directly through the nose with the environment. And despite that, those direct branches, it is not exposed more to diseases. This is a very unique arrangement which allows the brain to be in constant 24/7 contact with the environment. The usual transmission of the stimuli is through the olfactory receptors, which means that the volatile molecules of the different odorants, the different smells, stimulate the nerve endings of the neurons, cause electrical stimuli, which is being transmitted through the neurons. This is the common way of transmission, like in all or several other brain functions. However, there may be other ways in which the brain is receiving olfactory stimuli. This is something new, which will probably be published in the next few months. This is so I won't talk about it, just let you know that there's always something new with olfaction. And the smell stimuli are transmitted through the olfactory nerve to certain areas of the brain. And also the taste stimuli are transmitted via the mouth to the brain as well. And there is a compilation of the two senses together to give us the sense of aroma, which is comprised by both of smell and taste. And while in vision, we have certain direct pathways to dedicated centers in the brain. And also with hearing, another important sense, we have again transmission of the electrical stimuli to certain centers in the brain. In olfaction, it's different. We have several centers around the brain which are all connected, all receiving olfactory stimuli, and all are able to communicate with each other and with the entire brain tissues. There are several diseases which are related to smell. One of the common one is nasal obstruction or congestion. If the linings of the nose, those are normal linings, so you can see while the nasal canal or nasal tunnel is narrow, still air can come and reach the ceiling of the nose. However, if there is disease or allergy, everything is congested and the scented air is blocked, so we cannot feel, we cannot sense the scented air, and thus we lose the sense of smell, either permanently or just for a short period of time. Another possibility is trauma, either to the skull base, fractures there, or if we have a trauma to the nose, then we lose again the ability to transmit scented air. Also, if there's brain damage, like in this CT scan, again, damage by trauma or stroke or neurodegeneration, like Alzheimer or Parkinson, again, we can get deficiencies in the sense of smell, and also cognitive and psychiatric disorders also are involved with smell disturbances. Some facts about the olfaction. While the scent or odors activate us, and we are all aware that we are being activated by smell, we should bear in mind that not necessarily this is a conscious process. Often we are not aware that we are being activated by smells, and there are also chemosignals that are not odorous. Those are volatile chemicals that are transmitted around us. We sense them through the olfactory system in the brain, but we don't sense any odor. Another point to remember is the scent is intrusive. We cannot avoid sniffing. We cannot avoid feeling the sense of smell. It is impossible to stop smelling unless we stop breathing. In many cases, the scent becomes a tool for manipulation, usually to extract money from us in hotels, shops, offices, elevators, reception areas. There are also some positive goals, such as making us feel good in toilets or at home. But even here, the intrusiveness of the smell sometimes becomes a problem. For example, the calming effect of lavender or pine scents is nowadays often met with the reactions, I don't want to smell a toilet in my living room or in my bedroom. Even therapeutic uses in aromatherapy or aromahology, despite the good intention, it is still a form of manipulation. Scent in nature does us good. The question is, can scents calm us in waiting areas or other stressful situations? Do scents improve learning? And can scents be used to disrupt behaviors? The answer to those questions is still pending. The connection to memory is not always so distinct. We used to believe that olfaction is very much related to memory. However, in my experience, people often either lie or imagine things, and the memory association is not a big deal. There is habituation and pauses. You know that after a few minutes, when we smell, we stop feeling the sense of smell for a few minutes, and then the ability to smell again is regained. These pauses, breaks, and fragmentation are basic and essential mechanisms in our existence, both physical and metaphysical. In all our senses, there is always fragmentation. This is a built-in mechanism that allows the signals captured by our senses to undergo assimilation and perception within us, in our brain, in our blood, and in our soul. In vision, for instance, the blinking is actually a form of fragmentation that allows for a better neuron cells response. Every time there is a reignition, the response is optimal. In hearing, we have rhythm, which is a prerequisite for both for good hearing and for deriving verbal meaning and pleasure. In balance, there is a constant attempt to assess our positions in space and correct it. In fact, we are constantly swaying. Even our advanced way of communicating verbally, is to transmit through fragmentation, meaning through words. The issue with naming is another matter regarding scent, both in the East and in the West. There are some tribes in East Asia with fine variety of olfactory expressions, in contrast to, for instance, English speakers in Texas. Therefore, this is not a basic cognitive brain limitation that we have, but rather a difference in culture and tradition. And even though we are aware of certain populations that have several names, useful names for smells, still we prefer to complain and get distressed over the linguistic poverty, and no one has yet attempted to adapt the terms used by these so-called primitive people into the languages of developed nations. I suggested this to several researchers, but it seems that it requires a significant investment in learning the words and tracking the populations for several years. And one potential direction, perhaps, to adapt those names and terms is within the development of olfactory games, which is another project of mine. Another way to enrich our vocabulary is by using scents and flavors in artworks. This will make the stimuli and sensation present, diversifying the cognitive interpretation within each of us. We know that the sense of smell in art, in philosophy of art, was considered a primitive, basic sensation, somewhat beastly, that is not worth relating to in art and aesthetics. And this went on for hundreds of years until during the 18th and 19th centuries, where perfumery developed. Then we began to see more use of scents in religion, in healing practices, in employing cleanliness, and in the beauty industry and in society at large. And then scents began entering the art scene very slowly, and even today, olfactory art is still considered a genre, a small genre, but it is being developed all the time. And what I'd like to do is to share with you our experience in a large exhibition that we've conducted back in 21, just after lockdown was finished here in Israel. We had an international art exhibition in which the artworks involved scents. Almost all the works involve different scents, which we tailored according to the artwork and to the requests of the artists. This was an international exhibition, and the artists from abroad guided through from distance. So this is one example of one of the spaces that we have. We employed different and several spaces, including also outdoor exhibition. In this enclosed gallery, you can see here, for instance, artwork of noses, in which of every nose there is an actual plant, different scented plants, which had to be replaced every 1 or 2 days. Here we had a chocolate-based statue in which we kept in a small box, which was partially open, and nearby we had some sauce, a small jar with the smell of chocolate. This cloth-made lamp was soaked in coffee smell, the smell of coffee, and we had here an installation of spices, Indian spices, which were emitting the scents. And we made sure that the concentration and the intensity of the smells would not cause a mixture of all the smells inside the space. So all the smells were contained around the artwork and did not, so to speak, leak to the surroundings. Another form of artwork was a soap especially made by Yehuda Roth for the Corona period. Again, soap, different smells may and could be presented as a real artwork. This is a nice drawing by Benny Efrat, who was drawing lots of paintings about endangered species. And usually the paintings were with a red background and some written statements about the importance of preserving the endangered species. Benny chose for those paintings to put near them a source of smell that emitted the smell of chopped or cut grass. And the idea was not just to give a sense of providing food for the poor animals, but also since the grass or the chopped grass is green, and he wanted to have a complementary color to the red. So this was more sophisticated use of smell. Okay, this is again the process of replacing. If you want to use natural resources and you want to make it pretty, not just a jar of liquid, scented liquid, then it requires a lot of work. Another possibility was to use small boxes, transparent boxes. In this work, which is my work, I put inside this box, which is a part of medical equipment. I put a lot of fish. Those were plastic fish, simulating dead fish. The assumed smell or the atmosphere inside the box should have been rotten fish. But when you opened the door and the visitors were asked to open the door, then they smelled the smell of roses emitted by these small dispersers here, electric disperser. We also had some mobile containers in the area of the exhibitions. Each container was able to contain certain smell according to the artist request. This artist, for instance, required that we should have the smell of olive oil on one hand and the smell of hospital. And this work was dedicated to her mother, which was hospitalized for several months. So this use of containers allowed us to disperse any kind of smell. This particular smell was a foul smell of hospital and decay, but it was contained within the container. And we used another container which was buried under many piles of land. And inside the container, there was a lot of vegetation growing, emitting again smells of plants, different plants. So this is another way to use the containers. This work was called garlic roses. We had roses which the head of the roses were replaced by garlic. And this was put inside a glass house. And in addition to the smell of the garlic, we also had another electric dispersers that all the time transmitted a very strong smell of garlic. And whenever the visitors opened the door of the glass house, they were able to get quite an interesting shock. This is, by the way, a work of Peter de Cooper. He's a Belgian artist considered the best olfactory artist in the world. He's working on it for about 30 years now. This is another artwork by Danny Caravan, which is called Temporary Orchard, Orange Orchard, which we employed again a machine that all the time transmitted smell of orange flowers around this artwork. And this was always, there were deviations depending on the direction and the strength of the wind outside. So this is another problem with olfactory art exhibition. This was a nylon tunnel in which inside we transmitted several scents that were getting out through holes in different parts of the tunnel, the nylon tunnel. And this is another example of outdoor exhibition, which through that appliance here, which transmitted a very bad and foul smell, which of course was in the outside domain. So those are a few examples of the possible use and also the limitations of olfactory art. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was such an interesting, so many interesting things you taught us, and I think you wider their understanding of the factory art and also shared some insight which you had in your practice. I think it was very interesting to me, and also I really loved the exhibition and the works which you've shown today. Thank you. So now it's my turn, and to be honest, I think I'm gonna show you some sort of references to what Yehuda was sharing with us, because my factory project in some case is illustrating all the challenging and problems which an artist who's starting working with olfactory art might have. So I hope I'm sharing my presentation, and my olfactory project is named Something. Let me start it with introducing me, my partner. Unfortunately, I'm here today, but we were working together in a whole project from the very beginning to the end. We had a horizontal structure, my beautiful partner, Valentina Makarova. And when we started working with this project, we decided we need to name our group. So we found an old Slavic name, Vona, which means aroma, smell, and we called ourselves Vanachki. And it was really ambitious because in Russian it's mean that it's not like a neutral scent, but it's someone who has like a smell and it might be not so pleasant. So our aim was to show it. We want to work with a scent as a tease, not trying to make it pleasant or to comfort someone, but to work like to go toward to the source of not so pleasant smells and experience, and to stay true to ourselves. So we created a project called Something. It is based on a study of breastfeeding scent and its effect it has on adults. We built the whole artistic project on Marcel Proust effect, but still we had that like a huge experience working with scientists and other specialists in this area just to be able to work with breastfeeding milk. To be honest, when we started, we thought that it's a great idea, not understanding how challenging it's gonna be. But at the end, we created the speculative circumstances of potential aromatic rest for adults. And just to unfortunately, it's still impossible to share smells and scents and aroma via Zoom. So we can only share, I don't know, some images or try to explain some things. So I'm going to use what I have. So I'm going to use Zoom to short. I want you to imagine that you're entering a small dark space and you're inhaling some sort of not very common smell for a very, very first time. And before that, you found some information, you read something, you heard something that the smell gonna influence you in a specific way, like Yehuda told us before, is gonna manipulate you a bit. And while experiencing and inhaling it, you're gonna be your mood gonna change, and maybe you're gonna become less aggressive. And also in the video room, you see a huge sculpture. It's warm. It's as warm as a human body, and you can touch it, you can sit at it, you can lay on it, and it's all together is creating some sort of olfactory atmosphere. So less talking, more showing. I hope it's gonna work. So that's it. I think even a minute of silence always works, like something that's making us less aggressive and more relaxed. But let's go back to the project. To be honest, to explain why we started doing this thing and working with Olfactory form, it's so it was all based on an idea, as I said, an idea of soothing and find something that kind of help us today to calm us a bit down, to make us less aggressive, and to look at each other with a smile, with different place. So we were talking, we were like sitting on the couch and talking on the situation in the world in 2022. And we came up with an image. So like a huge breast is coming and covering everything in a milk, and people are happy, they stop all wars, so fights, and they just sleep because they're super safe, and they remember the very first moment when their mommy was carrying them. So as I've said, we were very ambitious, so we decided that somehow we want to recreate this situation. But as you know, the breastfeeding thing is more complicated than just a scent. It is the deep connection between mother and a child is built on the immunology system of a child, and it's close to impossible to recreate that connection in the gallery or as a some art project. But what we have the thing, we made a hypothesis. So if we're gonna give some sort of a smell connected to breastfeeding to an adult, that some of them might remember what it was going on when we were babies, or they might create this feeling. So we started our research, but the first thing we needed was a real immunologist just to start working with a breastfeeding milk. So we had a beautiful mother, Tamar, who donates some of her milk to us, and we started working with a lab, SCAMT lab in INEMEA University in St. Petersburg, Sofia Roshenin and Elena Kakinos, and they are immunologists who agreed to have us in their lab to do some tests with breastfeeding milk. And what we found out, that it's a really rare material. Not so many people before were working with it, were working with sand. In case to find some researchers, well, it was challenging and difficult, and also it was difficult to find some methods to work with it. So at the end, we were trying a few of them, and we come up that fecal method is working with breastfeeding milk. It's more it's a special method to use with blood, and it's used by scientists to divide it into layers. So we were also able, it was for the first attempt, we took a few and we wasted lots of milk. We were able to divide it into fractions and to get the smelliest one. So after that, after getting like the smelliest one, we started our tests. To be honest, I'm like the worst person to have documentation. So I have here, there's a few photos, but we did it for at least a week, and we have dozens of different people, male and female, with different stories. Some of them were breastfeeding mothers, young fathers, or people who've never experienced breastfeeding in their life. So, for example, they were raised in some artificial food, but we were working with neuro interface. But the thing is that to be able to work with it in a way we need, one of our colleagues, he wrote as like a special program in which we're detecting exactly the things that exactly we needed, just to understand if the smell in any way is affecting their personal behavior and how calm he is, how excited. So as Yehuda told from his perspective, it's really so. So in most cases, connected to memory and smells, people or recreating something or they're imagining. So it was really difficult to understand if the smell is working or people want it to work. But anyway, we got some insights, like breastfeeding moms, when they were inhaling this milk, they were calming down. They were calming and relaxing and feeling better because it was like a familiar smell. For other adults, we found out that you need to tell them what a smell is made from, and also to give them some like to conduct the experiment. That is not a good thing in science, but might be made by artists. So based on this experience, we created the whole project. We created the sculpture, and we decided how to build the experience. But the most challenging things was to create the aroma, to create this thing, because you cannot use the real milk. First of all, it's gonna be a sour milk just in a few days. Also, all people, we have such different ability to smell and to understand what we smell. And for someone, it might smell like a milk, for other person like something else. So we had that goal just to find how we can create the smell. And we were really lucky. We work with several different perfume makers and different people, but we met a scientist, also a scientist, and a flavorist, Lilia Chak, and we also were really lucky because his wife just they had a baby like just 4 months old, so he was covered with that smell and he agreed to work with us. So the idea was to build a very stable scent which might be exhibited in a gallery. And the second thing, it might be stay as it is, not like a perfume when you have the first layer, the second, the third, and it's changing, but we want something very intense and very solid. So like on my screen, you can you can see the formula. So we were experimenting for, I think at least for, it was around a month with different smells, with different ingredients. And at the end, we achieved a smell which we tested on people one more time, and they were reacting it in the way which was like interesting for us. So as a result, we created the atmosphere, the sculpture, and the scent. And to sum up the whole experiment, I can say that we got some, I don't know, some DM'd messages and call for scientists who are working with neurosystem, with mental health, and with other things, who were interested in this experiment of creating the special atmosphere and working with real bodily sense. So we can say that from one side, it was this experiment leads to a new a new experiments and some new investigations and conversation. But on the other hand, I want to say that I'm totally agree with you. It's very hard to work with scents. It takes lots of time. It's rather expensive, because if you want to create the real aroma, it's gonna be like solid and intense, and also it takes a great amount of energy, because when you're trying to find scientists who are somehow connected to this topic and to pursue them, to work with you, you need to sometimes you need to insist. You need to stay there and refuse to give up. But I think it was a beautiful journey. It's our mutual photo. So you can see how huge was the sculpture. And today I'm not telling you about the production process of the sculpture, but it also is challenging. But just yeah. I put here a few photos of people, but I want to show you this one. I've told you that we have a donor who donate her breastfeeding milks for experiments. This is her elder child, and when he inhaled that smell, she tells that it smells like mommy. So she hugged the sculpture and stayed there for some time. So probably we were at least very accurate with a specific aroma. So now I'd love to stop and to share the floor with our brilliant Dr. Lilia Chak. Lilia is also based in Israel, and she's Israeli artist, designer, and science art researcher based in Jerusalem. Her interdisciplinary practice spans new media, bioart, dendro art, AI-generated art, video, photography, and installation. She holds a PhD from the Art and Science Department of Sorbonne University, and is a postdoctoral fellow at Bar-Ilan University, researching AI-driven directions in bioart. Chak is the author of Contemporary Practices in Bioart, When a Tree Becomes an Artwork, Cambridge Scholar Publishing in 2023. So if you're going to have a chance to find this book, please read it. It's amazing. And also, Lilia introduced the term dendro art into international discourse. Her work has been shown internationally in venues including Ars Electronica, Bazaar, Shenzhen Art Museum, Negev Museum of Art, Museo Arte Botanica in Rome, and Matsudo International Science Art Festival. She has received multiple awards, including recognition from WMV Prompt Magazine, Chang'an University's AIF. In 1959, Lilia coordinates Leonardo and Isaac's later talks in Jerusalem and teach art biology and ecology in Chicago College. So, dear Lilia, please, the floor is.
I will speak today
Yeah, we see
about aphorismon, a lost fragrance and the future of smell.
Presentation, but
my research is aimed at reconstruction the sense of the ancient world, specifically the olfactory universe of ancient Israel. This involves the revival of characteristic flora, the reconstruction of the biblical landscape, and the reimagining of the world of incense, which was highly developed in the ancient Near East. How would contemporary audience respond to a new old aroma? Would such a scent feel as magnificent as it is described in the Bible? In this lecture, I will focus on one aspect of this vast field, the subject of incense. In particular, I will examine the plant known as aphorismon, which played a key role in its production. Aphorismon, what is it? The name aphorismon, often translated as balsam, refers to Commiphora abyssinica, in Hebrew the mor bekai, a plant highly valued in antiquity and cultivated in the region from approximately 915 BCE to 70 CE. It belongs to the Borseraceae family, whose members are characterized by aromatic bark that peels, sloughs, and produce fragrant resins. Today, Commiphora apobalsamum, also known as Commiphora giladensis, a close relative of the ancient aphorismon, grows in parts of Africa and Asia. Burning the sacred incense in the temple. Aphorismon resin was one of the key ingredients in the 11-component sacred incense, ktoret in Hebrew. The burning of incense was a central ritual in ancient Judaism. The Bible instructs that incense be burned in the temple in Jerusalem twice daily. This ritual was reserved exclusively for the priests, Kohanim,
descendants of Aaron. Even the king could not perform it. Wild aphrosemon was reintroduced to Israel from Saudi Arabia in the early 97th under mysterious circumstance. It is believed that the plant was brought by a high-ranking Arab who had performed the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. The saplings reached Israel via England, where descendants of this plant are still preserved in a botanical garden. The identity of the person who facilitated this transfer remains undisclosed. Now, reasons for the revival of aphrosemon. The revival of aphrosemon today can be viewed from several perspectives. First, the medical, second, the olfactory, and third, reconstruction of the ancient landscape. And now, the medical aspects. The medical properties of aphrosemon have been recognized since antiquity. Ancient authors such as Diodorus, Tacitus, Galen, and Pliny describe it as a universal remedy, claiming that all parts of the plant possesses healing properties. It was believed to treat headache, cataracts, impaired vision, hearing disorders, paralysis, stroke, and fractures. It was also used as a diuretic for respiratory condition and as an antidote to snake bite. Additionally, it played a role of traditional gynecological treatments, including menstrual disorders and contraceptive practice. Saladino Diascoli, a medieval physician, argued that aphrosemon-based remedies should be included in every medical kit. Costa ibn Luca described its oil as the effective treatment for ear pain. Texts from the Cairo Geniza also mention aphrosemon is a remedy for joint and back pain, digestive issues, and skin conditions. Preparation included pastes and ointments used for wound healing and infection control. Thus, the revival of this plant may represent not only a symbolic or aesthetic gesture, but also a potential contribution to contemporary medical research. This is olfactory aspect. One of the earliest references to aphrosemon appears in the writing of Josephus. In Antiquity of the Jews, he recounts how the Queen of Sheba gifted balsam plants to King Solomon. They say also that we possess the root of that balsam, which our country still bears by this woman's gift. Cleopatra's legendary allure was partly attributed to her use of aphrosemon-based perfumes. According to historical accounts, when she arrived in Tarsus with perfumed sails, Mark Antony was captivated. Josephus writes that Antony later transferred the aphrosemon plantation of Judea to Cleopatra. King Herod, recognizing their economic value, negotiated to lease them back, demonstrating the plant's immense cultural and financial importance. 2,000 years ago, aphrosemon was said to be worth twice its weight in gold. The Ktoret ritual involved heating resin of coals, releasing fragrant smoke that filled the sacred space and created a heightened sensory atmosphere essential for worship. Its preparation was a closely guarded secret of a single priestly family. Disclosure or even deviation from the formula was considered a grave offense. The family responsible for producing the incense refrained from using perfumes in daily life. Even brides avoided fragrance before the wedding ceremony. A midrash describes young women placing a persimmon seeds in their sandals, releasing scents as they walked, creating an almost intoxicating effect. The smell would envelop them like poison. The 7th century Madaba map depicts cities alongside their defining features. Jericho is illustrated with date palms and a branch of a persimmon, highlighting its significance. Archaeological remains near En Gedi, a Notsukim Natural Reserve, include traces of a persimmon used in perfume production. During the Bar Kokhba revolt, local inhabitants destroyed the plants to prevent them from falling into Roman hands. Decline of the incense industry. The incense industry declined after the Muslim conquest and the opening of new trade routes to the east, which introduced cheaper alternatives. With the disappearance of local expertise, both the plantation and the production knowledge were lost, though cultural memory persisted. And the third aspect, the reconstruction, the ancient landscape. Throughout history, people have thought to visualize the past, to create a kind of time machine. Recent efforts in Israel to cultivate the persimmon and other ancient plants allow for the partial reconstruction of the biblical landscape. Experimental plantation in En Gedi now grow in location where such plants existed 2,000 years ago, often using ancient agricultural terraces. The role of archaeology. Sites such as Qumran and Masada have yielded exceptionally well-preserved organic remains due to the arid climate. Excavation led by Professor Igal Yedin uncovered numerous seeds and plant remains. The role of archaeobotany. In 1917, Yedin transferred plant remains to Professor Kesler, a pioneer in archaeobotany. His collection now spans multiple historical periods, including the Herodian era and the Roman conquest. And the role of botanical science. The reconstruction of a persimmon progressed from greenhouse experiments to open file cultivation. I personally experienced its fragrance for the first time in Dr. Solovey greenhouse, an unexpectedly powerful sensory encounter. She was one of the first Israeli researchers to begin this reconstruction using materials provided to her by Professor Mordechai Kislev. Elaine is currently preparing to publish a book entitled The Trees of Fragrance and Mystery. Reconstruction of the plant is only part of the challenge. The preservation of its aroma is equally complex. This remains an active area of research. Cultivation and production. Persimmon is now cultivated in open soil near the Dead Sea. This plantation may eventually support the production of medicinal and cosmetic products on an industrial scale. And medical research. Despite legend warning against uncovering its secrets, research continues. Preliminary funding suggests potential application in treating skin diseases, including cancer. Afforcement opens multiple directions for olfactory art. This is ancient incense versus modern perfumery, aromatherapy and medicine, the boundary between fragrance and stench. Such work allows audience to encounter ancient scents for the first time, experiencing, comparing, and rethinking them. I would like to conclude by showing how this journey with Afforcement has grown beyond a single research question or experiment. Over the years, this work has unfolded in exhibitions, workshops, and international conferences. From the Negev Museum of Art in Israel to Ars Electronica in Austria, and from Levry Snow Studio National des Arts Contemporaries to the Monofilm Festival in Jerusalem. It has become a bridge between disciplines, connecting art and science, archaeology and ecology, ancient practices and contemporary experience. This research has been documented in publication, including my book, Contemporary Practices in Bioart, When a Tree Becomes an Artwork, and continues to inspire new projects and collaborations. What I hope this demonstrates is that Afforcement is not just a plant, a fragrance, or a historical curiosity. It is a living thread weaving together history, memory, and imagination, a pathway that allows us to experience the ancient world in a tangible, almost sensorial way. And this presentation, like all the project it represents, is just one stage in the ongoing journey. Afforcement reminds us that the past is never completely lost. It can be smelt, touched, and brought to life once again. Thank you for joining me today. We cannot breathe the fragrance of Afforcement together, but I invite you to imagine it drifting through ancient temples, whispering the stories of a lost world. Let the scent live in your imagination and remind us that the past is never truly gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilia. Such a poetic work and such a great project. It was really interesting to listen to it, and I think you enrich our knowledge about Afforcement. So now we have our question section, and as we have Lilia with us, I would love to start with you. As far as I know, recently you took part in the Scent Art Festival in Riga, and could you tell us about the festival, about your experience as a participator, and also what is so unique about this festival? How do you see its future, its contribution to olfactory art?
I should say that this is a unique event which will be held for the third time in Riga, Latvia. I have already been invited to participate with the performance. Last year, there were many artists from different countries. There were works created in various genres, including music. So I think next year's festival will also bring together a great team of artists and attract a large audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now I'd love to ask Yehuda to to join us for us to be able to see you. So my pleasure to ask you this question. Yehuda, please, well, smell is invisible, yet exhibition are usually experienced first through our eyes. So how do you imagine the visual language of an olfactory art exhibition? Could you please share your vision with us?
The idea is to combine the traditional visual experiences with the novel addition of smell. Like we nowadays used to optical effects, sound effects in museums, the idea is that we'll be able to introduce more and more immersive influences, including different smells, and we'll be able to improve the technical issues of dispersing the smells, preserving them from harming the artworks. And there is another avenue developing of using just smells without any visual artworks. And this brings about the question whether a perfume is actually an artwork. If you ask a perfumer, he will claim this is an artwork, while we may still consider it as a chemical product. So this is a question that remains unsolved yet.
Yes, I see that point, but anyway, when you have a fragrance, I think also what is important is an artistic vision and idea. Also, so what do you think about that? If we're exhibiting just a scent, but we're creating a special atmosphere, or it's maybe something unique, as Lila told us about, for example, just a smell of a persimmon without other images or something to touch.
I think context is important, and just dispersing smell in a space is not sufficient. The words are important, the descriptions are important, the story, as we just heard, the wonderful story is important, and this is what gives it artistic value. Just smelling a scent, be it a nice and pleasant or foul smell, is not sufficient. It needs to be accompanied with a text. And for that, we also need more words.
Thank you so much. Cannot agree with you more. So, and now it's my turn to answer the question. And in some way, it's aligned with the question you are answering right now. Mine is about how does the tangible, tactile quality of an object, of a sculpture, influence the ability of people to understand, to feel, to decode the smell. And from my perspective, when we were creating this project, we decided not to make something very, I don't know, beautiful or complicated. We wanted to be tangible, to something that will invite to come to touch and just to breathe, and to breathe calmly, to inhale as much as possible, as much scent as possible, to experience it. And probably it's very interesting experience to combine and different source of information, the scent, something to touch, some physical information from our body, probably some kind of visual information or a sound, just to create that certain atmosphere in which we would like to put the person, for him to be able to experience our idea and to understand our project. So that's it. Thank you. I'd love to pass the floor back to Galina.
Okay, thank you, Daria. I would like to thank all our speakers for their great contributions. I truly enjoyed today's presentations, and I hope our audience enjoyed them as much as I did. I would also like to thank the Leonardo platform for this opportunity and for their support and promotion. Thank you, Daria, for your wonderful work and for being part of today's talks. Thanks to Yehuda Roth and Lilia Chak, our great speakers of today. Special thanks to CYLAND and ADEM for their collaboration and support. And I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.